To order, Town of Southington Board of Finance. Today is December 13th, 2023, and we'll first stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Mr. Bose, our roll call, please.
Okay, let's see. Mr. Lebenek,
Absent.
Mr. Pocock,
Here.
Mr. Bodoin.
Who's that?
Bodoin.
Oh, okay. Here.
Okay,
I like the other name better.
I got you. Ms.
Joe's name right, and Joe's not here. So.
Ms. Mazzarella, I did that on purpose.
Here.
And Mr. Stanforth.
Here.
Okay, five members present.
Thank you.
There is a quorum.
Okay, we have no public hearing items tonight. We will have public communications, but no public hearing items. So our first thing is to approve the minutes of the November 15th meeting as revised, which are included in our packet. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on further corrections?
Discussion?
There is one more discussion.
One
Yeah.
more correction.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yes, there was a reference to the building department fees with an extra digit. So those will be reflected correctly in a revised edition.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, in here
Yeah.
is the capital projects fund summary, yet I don't remember that being distributed.
I saw it in the thing. Is it in the minutes?
It's in the minute. Thought it was, or is that?
What
Or is
does
it the
it
first
mean?
item of this meeting?
It says no report will be at the next meeting.
Okay, so that's, I'm sorry, so I thought it was a continu.
No, no.
Oh, okay, yeah,
these
that's the
pages
item
right
for
here,
tonight.
yeah.
Okay, my apologies.
Okay, no worries. Good catch, though, for reading the minutes.
That was a test.
Okay, any more revisions to the minutes? All those in favor of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? All right, the minutes are now official. All right. And when you revise them also as they're referenced at the town council meeting. Mr. Wayne's point from last meeting. That, you know, they're using them before we're ever approving them officially. So, but when if we make an adjustment, then they'll get adjusted as they're reflected in their minutes.
We actually, that's how we found the building department once. That's what we picked.
Okay,
Unfortunately, we didn't pick up the spelling one, but that's.
okay, got it.
But also, they would get the discussion of this meeting about.
Exactly correct.
Okay. Let's start by doing our assessment. So we'll review revenue.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you have that in front of you as part of the items that were distributed, will be distributed this evening to you. I was working on those until probably yesterday, so those are in front of you,
Okay.
in front of the package.
I see it. So, like you always say, large items, 1,000,006 or 1,566 revenue ahead of budget. A good guy, positive.
Correct. A couple of these items declined from last month, the clerk fees a little bit and building permit fees, or I'm sorry, interest on taxes a little bit, but interest on investments went up to overcome those slight,
The biggest driver of the 1.6 is 1.2, interest income, interest on the investments.
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's good. I think I mentioned it last time when we worked on the budget, we were a little less conservative on the revenue. We actually budgeted more revenue based upon prior trend and judgment, and it's nice to see it come in above that. That's positive. Okay, next item.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, is the significant variances with regards to expenditures. which I also put down to be distributed at the meeting. There's nothing in front of you because the only item that you have that's showing a significant issue right now is an item before you with regards to the legal fees in the town's the town's legal department, which were explained to last meeting by the town manager.
But outside of that, everything else is pretty much.
Outside of that,
Well, I'm very proud of both the police and the fire
Yeah.
and their overtime. It's going quite well.
those are usually items that start to suffer a little bit or show possible problems this early in the fiscal year, but so far so good. I'm showing right now some very, very small marginal type of deficiencies, which are which are nowhere near where they have been.
Now, do you have those calendarized by month? So when you look, you say, oh, what's overtime for the month of December, or October, September? Or do you have it for the year? So really, these things won't, the shortfall wouldn't rear its head until the last couple months of the year.
Not for police and fire, no, because it's totally unpredictable.
Well,
It's based on call level.
I meet with both chiefs biweekly, and so we keep an eye on that. We're coming to you in January with a report department, as we talked about during the budget.
Okay.
Based upon overtime and the salary line item. And we're a little bit below where we were normally with the fire. So they're good. Now, the big one, of course, is the last piece of the puzzle for overtime is when you talk works. And we're just entering the area of public works where we're starting overtime there. It's leaf, which had overtime, and now we're entering snow. Hopefully no snow, but snow.
And snow is the biggest consumer of our contingency.
That's correct.
Hopefully, I hope that in our new budget, we can get back to the 8 or the 850.
850.
Yeah. Got to trim back contingency as well to try and make the budget palatable. So a couple little soft spots in there.
Just for the new members, because we don't have snow doesn't mean we're not operating. As you know, the last couple of when we have rainstorms, then we have the cold weather, we still have to have our trucks out there doing, especially our hills and mains. We had trucks already out there, even though it doesn't look like we've had any snow, therefore we haven't had any trucks going out outside of working hours. That's not true. We've had trucks go out during
Thought I
free
saw
periods.
some salt this morning.
Yeah. Well, the state got out there too.
Okay.
We did some, especially as you see up on the Ledge Road area, all that, near Reservoir Ridge, all that kind of stuff. That always has to be taken care of. Yeah, that area gets, so we have trucks going out. When people think we don't have any expenses, we are getting expenses even this time.
I think the other thing, the one big storm that drops it all quick is cheaper for us than a storm that drags over 2 or 3 days, especially towards the end of the week.
And we always seem to have those Friday
Yeah, if it
night and
goes
Sunday storms.
Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, a little more rain. Those cost us a fortune. A big drop of a foot of snow really quick is more economical.
You're absolutely right.
So just something else. You have these little lingering things are really chop away at the budget, and then the freeze thaw kills the roads.
That's
All these things we have to keep an eye on. Okay, so that's good to know. We're trending okay on expenses. The review of the contingency line item is in the packet. Let me slide. I
Roman,
saw it, but it's only the legal fees we've taken out of there.
correct.
I think.
Correct. I wish I can say you won't see them the next couple. Probably monthly for the next few months.
Comes to legal.
Well, the case is, obviously it's, we want to do something and someone has the right to challenge us, and so we have to defend that.
All right, let's review the capital projects, Jim, if we can.
sure. This is the item
This is on
for the quarter ended 9/30. These are.
page 12 of the packet.
I used the same
Right.
numbers as the agenda. So Roman numeral 5, item 4. It's a 2-pager. And what you folks had asked the previous director to do was to give you updates quarterly based upon the capital projects fund, the active projects only. Those are the funds that still have funding, et cetera, or else this
Okay.
would go on for 10, 12 pages. So what this does give you that two-page, it's a two-page summary. It's a nice little summary. And I can tell you right now, in a nutshell, I have no concerns about anything on these 2 pages right now. And I don't anticipate any, so if there's any questions,
Let's just go through the
Fire away.
columns are, and then the members could,
sure.
at their own leisure, dig in, and these are ours until
Sure.
next quarter when we talk about it. So the first thing is the account number.
That's more for us than it is for you guys. but
Okay.
yeah.
The LoSiP is the roads, right? The first
LoSiP stands for Local Capital Improvement Program. That's a grant by the state of Connecticut. Per many demographics, including population, all towns and cities in Connecticut get it. And we include that in our movements to you folks to
But you're right,
appropriate the
Mr. Chair,
funds.
the roads and bridges. We use them for.
Yeah.
Roads, bridges,
And,
yeah.
and we know clearly that it doesn't cover all of our roads and bridges, it's just a
No.
minor contribution from the state. And if we don't do more than this, our roads take a hit. We could never
we could-
maintain our roads with just this.
Correct.
So appropriation balance, expenses through 6/30, this one's ongoing, maybe not the best example.
Yeah.
Let's do the one financial management system. So appropriation balance, 487,951, that's how much you were appropriated. Total expenses through June 30th were 341,000. The ending balance remaining in that program is 146,000. Encumbered, what does encumbered mean? We
We have,
committed
exactly. It's committed via purchase order.
Yeah.
That's correct.
as of,
As of
9:30.
9:30, correct.
yeah. All right, unencumbered balance is how much we have left to spend. And what's this CABGT thing?
If you look at the page 2, I think there were questions that came out back 15 months ago when I started. The question came about, well, what are the funding sources for these projects? So I included that column there, and there's a legend on page 2 which says funding. GR is grant, CABGT tells you what it is, DO, donations, BI, bond issue, etc.
Okay.
So you got to
So that
maybe
was
have to use
cash
page 2 at the
budgeted.
same time.
Yeah, so the one I had, this financial management system, was it cash and a budgeted item?
It could be a cash or a budget reallocation,
Okay.
or
So, Jim,
both.
Like, for example, this one where we appropriated like 487,000. Are we going to use every penny, or sometimes it'll be short and
What, I didn't
we
hear,
spend that whole amount?
we,
487?
we don't have a target for it right now. We use it for ongoing training and for updates to our financial information system. Just came down the pike, an $8,000 item that I'm going to have to hit this item for as well. So there are nagging things from time to time that come about.
So these are more lingering projects, right? Townwide infrastructure. I guess the top ones, we didn't pick discrete projects with a beginning and an end. LoSiP goes on forever, and so does this thing.
Yeah.
I guess if we went down further,
Well, if you want to do one that's going to expire, is the Planceville Center Missile Parking Lot. That's an easy. one that
okay,
we
there
put
you
money
go.
into.
300,000 appropriated.
Yep.
Let me see if I figured that out.
Yep.
236 expended so far of 300, 63,510 left to go, and when we finish, there might be some left over that we'll reclaim.
That could be shifted to another capital account.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be my,
If there's like Mark said, if there's a need for it in one of these other line items, if something is falling short, we come to this board and to the council to get those monies transferred, just like we would in the general fund. If it looks like we're okay, we don't have anything to really do with the funds, which I don't really imagine that happening, we take these funds and we move them to what we call the debt service bookkeeping fund, so which pays down debt in the future.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we used $500,000 of that fund in the current fiscal year to, with regards to some debt service.
so looking at this, we wouldn't,
The projects that are here are not completed, and/or there's some,
Yeah,
correct.
What happens usually once or twice a year is that I'll sit down with Jim and usually Annette Turnquist, who handles most of these projects, and we figure out where we are. Some of the projects that could be closed out, as Jim mentioned, we could either shift them to another project or put them into debt service. Sometimes there's not enough funding, so we have to find additional funding sources for them. That's a very rare occasion, but we do monitor these, and sometimes project closes out, and we still have several $1,000s in there, and that usually goes into debt service.
Would column that shows the percentage, that wouldn't work.
That's a
'Cause you
difficult
can't
one.
tell.
Yeah, that's because it's an unknown.
Because it's,
Because it's
said,
correct.
It's rolling.
For the folks who've been on the board for a while, before, Candace and Wayne got on here, you might remember we're doing the police community room at the police department. Total kind of rehabbing that, and the bid prices came in a little bit higher than we anticipated and budgeted for. We had a project here that we would have closed out at the end of 6/30/2023. It wasn't a ton of money. It was maybe 15,000, something like
We
18,000.
rotated that into-
And we came to this board, we said, hey, we've got 17,000 left that we don't need in this project. Can we roll that? Can we transfer that into the police community room renovation project, if you will? And that got that project completed, and the other project was not then closed out because there was no more funding, and there's no more authorization to spend. That's just a recent example.
Now, can I go back to your part?
These are the items that are currently active. If I went back to the beginning of time, this thing would be about 75 pages long.
So why aren't they being closed out?
They are closed out. Those are the ones that
So
are
you
closed.
only get print the open ones.
Correct.
And the closed ones are still
I
in the
meant
system
active and
marked
open to be
closed.
kind
But
of
the
the same.
unencumbered balance is zero then?
That's correct. On the projects that have been closed, yes.
Okay. we
Yes.
need to know about that.
Yes,
Because at that point, we're going to choose either
Yes.
to roll them into another line or put them into debt service.
that's correct.
So where's this room on there? Just for,
The police community room, it might have
no,
been,
this room.
Wouldn't have been a capital.
this was not funded
Okay.
through the capital project. This was funded through
Yeah,
the,
this didn't meet our
the general
criteria.
fund.
Remember, we have to have $50,000 and all that. I didn't spend $50,000.
I just had one more question, and this is, the school athletic facilities, the 350, is that the softball field?
Lights.
For the softball field?
Yep.
And just softball field, right?
That was just the lights. That came in under budget, and probably coming to you. Probably be, we got a $500,000 track.
Yep.
The Board of Education, this money went over to the Board of Education. The Board had to put another 200 and something thousand in to make the difference up. So they're probably going to use the extra for the lights toward that project. It's up to the BOE. The money will be available. My understanding is that they're going to be working on it. So we should have the lights are already in if you've been up there.
Yeah,
The
I've
lights are
seen it.
done.
Yeah, they look nice.
The track could be done, the money will be in place, and the grant will be in place for the summer of '24. The capital budget, which I'm just starting to work on now, there's another project at the field. I'll talk to you guys.
but we have to come to this board to move those funds,
Yep.
from something that's unspent and unused to that fund. And then obviously to the council.
So there's no other funds to review, so I'll take item 5. Just have everybody go look these over at their own leisure, and if there's any questions, we'll answer them in the January meeting or through email, if anybody has a question. Next item is to review any other funds. Nothing else that I'm aware of. All right, subcommittee reports. Sewer, Mr. Stanforth.
No meetings, and tomorrow's the meeting for the sewer.
Okay. Public Works, Mrs. Mazzarella.
There-
Chip seal.
Chip seal.
Chip seal,
Sorry.
yeah. Exactly right. We're trying to, let's just get a bigger bang for our buck. Right now, we had an intermediate step, as you know. We do mill and paving, and then we do crack sealing. We used to have an intermediate one where we can get, more roads done, but it was chip seal, and let's be honest, council level at least, I'm not sure about this board's level, but the council level, there was a lot of dissatisfaction with that. So, and that's trying to look at several different ones, and I think Cape Seal was one she was looking at. Chip seal is an option. Other towns have had the same problem we had, so we took that right off. That's not going to happen in Southington. Hopefully, we'll have that intermediate step. We can get more miles done for the 3 point something.
Yeah.
They were saying that they have to do the sidewalk ramp. Crawl around the whole town and do it?
We're well,
We're
well
in
on
good
our way
shape.
of that, yeah. We've been doing that for years now.
Yeah, we're way, I don't want to say way ahead, but they definitely, I'm around town everywhere, and they're completed it. They've done a great job.
We're doing pretty. But as you know, obviously, you see it.
Again, still not enough to keep up with everybody's sidewalk. We need the
Yep.
community to step up and do their own sidewalks with the town reimbursement
Correct.
to really make this work. So we need, if people have speaking to the camera here, if people have a sidewalk that's failing, the town has a partial reimbursement. If you work with the proper vendors and you fill out the proper forms, the town will offer partial reimbursement, and the vendors know all about this and can get them inspected and get the reimbursement in. So homeowners have some money from the town if they want to tackle redoing the sidewalks, but you can't redo them yourself. You got to use a town-approved vendor.
Now, what is the percentage?
60/40 homeowners is, town pays 40. Gary just said, get permission first. Don't get it done by your uncle who does these and then give us a bill, and that's not available.
Don't worry.
You have to go through the process that the chairman just mentioned.
One other thing, the leaf pickup went very well, at least I feel as though it did. And they covered the areas, and some of them, they've come back. And the other big cost thing is, we have these trailers now, and
You like,
we'll look at look at the end result. I think it's going to save us,
well,
they're going to pay for themselves.
you guys put the plan in place. If you remember, 4 years ago,
Well, they're macerating the
Yep.
leaves
Yeah.
too, not
Yeah.
just
We-
sucking them.
Right, so what we do is, the old way was you just simply had a blower, suck them up, put them into the truck, and then when the truck filled up, you talk about full leaves, you don't have obviously, it's not the best way to do that, so it's exactly right. We have, with this board and the town council, we came to you probably 5 years ago now to buy one a year, and it's worked very, very well. We don't have to take as many trips to our leaf sites because it does that, and as I said at the council meeting, the Public Works Division did a great job. We did a double on every one of them.
Yep.
Now,
that-
and I say this every year, if Mother Nature cooperates, we're able to do that. Please don't think that's a guarantee every year, because sometimes we do get snow that first or second week of December, and it causes problems.
I agree, you did a great
Yeah.
job. because
Did a
it
great
was
job.
so late, so
Really.
I was worried that, oh my God.
Well, I did say at the council meeting, in all my years here, I had less than 5 phone calls on leaves, which is a shock. I always get multiple dozen phone calls about leaves. I got less than. Mother Nature and Public Works worked perfectly for us. And of course, the citizens got their leaves out on time, which was good too.
Worked well.
Yep.
Okay, that's.
Okay, thank you for the report. Open space,
There's things going on, but I don't have anything to report at this time.
that executive session stuff?
Yeah.
Private stuff?
So, right. There are things in the works.
And ask, no questions? All right, self-insurance?
So self-insurance, we have, and the month of November was not a good, over budget by like 39
Month?
for the month. So as a result of that 1 month, for the 5 months, because we have from July, over budget by 161,000. We were doing good until November,
Okay.
so.
Across the board expenses, not 1%.
I don't, did you know of anything?
It's
Was
in
it
the
a high
claims,
claim?
it's in the claims area, and frankly, both sides, the general government and the schools, did
Were.
exceed what we project.
Yeah.
I took
Spread
a,
across multiple insured.
well, that we don't, we get the report from Anthem that just shows us the subgroups. We don't
Yeah.
dive into
Okay.
that. It's private information.
Right.
We don't get it, we don't want it.
No, I know you don't want it by
I think we,
name, but
but I think we do have one high claim, one policyholder that's a high claim.
I think at the last meeting, our consultant reported that was one claim that was over $500,000 so far this fiscal year.
And we have reinsurance over 500.
And just a reminder to insurance, the claims go for multi-years. A reinsurance is not per claim.
Right.
So therefore, when the clock runs out and 12 months are gone, you're back to zero again. So people always say, well, if you have a bad claim, you only pay the first 500,000 and you're fine, but that doesn't work that way. It's not per claim, it's per year. So,
That's correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the more you take advantage of the more claims that you have like this, the more expensive it is to get that reinsurance in the following fiscal years. So
Premiums start to go
Yeah.
up.
it's,
Okay, economic strike. Did we assign somebody to?
I know there's no meeting scheduled, but I don't recall you signing anyone because, well, there must be.
We might not have been asked.
it was
No,
Tony
no.
Morrison, I think
Well,
was.
he's from the council.
Yeah, I know.
I'll have to double check to
Let's
make
double,
sure.
can you double check and see if they want a member, a board
Well,
of finance member? Usually we,
I'm almost
We always had one on there
positive one of
before.
you was appointed to that, but I'll double check it.
all right, I just forgot my, the sheet where I wrote up the appointment, so I forgot, nobody here was formally appointed. Okay, if we were
Who did they
asked-
meet? Once-
They meet as needed.
So, so you
Wayne,
Did you tell me that?
Come on, Wayne, get with the program, man. You got to strike. You got to economically strike.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I don't.
All right,
I
I
have no
didn't, I don't
problem.
know, but I don't
Don't
remember,
have to
all right,
look it up, no.
let's just double check it though.
I'm gonna look.
Because
it
that
up.
was one that we'll have to go back to the minutes of the town council. I didn't recall that one, but if it's on the notes, then it's quite possible I did. Or, yeah,
Eventually,
Good, I'll look it up while you guys.
Wayne, you'll get a pay increase for that. Though.
we'll double your pay.
We'll double
You're on
your
that,
pay.
committee.
give them up if you have.
Okay, did we cover them all? The committee of the chairs will be next week. I go to that, but one of the things we all say is I'm 1/6 a member. I don't speak for the board. I can just talk about what we're doing or what's on our agenda and, but I can't say the Board of Finance will do this or that because that has to be decided by us collectively. So it's an open meeting. Everybody's invited to it. But I'll go and represent us there. It's a good one, too, because the town manager, superintendent of schools are there, plus the chair of Board of Finance, Planning and Zoning, town council, Board of Ed. Chance
And I
to,
did just confirm, Mr. Chair, that Mr. Stanford are a member of the
Ah,
economic strike.
official
Please,
member.
please fill out a W-2 with the finance division, and we'll be able to handle it for you.
I'll get you one tomorrow.
And you'll notify me when those meetings are?
I'm sure you're already on the list, but
Okay.
I'll double check with Kim to make sure.
There might be one tonight.
Parking lot's full enough.
okay, our investment committee, anything, we we saw that the revenue
Right.
was ahead by 1152.
Right, so that's a nice
That's the
thing.
report.
Our investment income is doing so well, $1 million over budget, which.
Well, and I think it's important, Mr. Chairman, members, and the public to know, don't forget, when we were doing the budget takes the time, 18 months, give or take, by the time your budget is completed. When we were developing this budget, the rates had started to go up, but they were in the area of like the threes, give or take. The upper twos, maybe the threes. And we're seeing now, we're comfortably getting 5.25.
Right.
In most of our cash. Some of that's invested a little bit longer, some of it's a little bit more current. And in addition, some of the 17.4 million that we bonded in April, we got those proceeds on May 2nd of 23. Whereas we have been spending some of that cash drawdown's been a little bit slower than what was originally projected. For those projects. Not a problem. We will be spending it, but we've had more of that $17 million on hand than what I thought we would have when we were doing the interest rate.
And we have the
projections.
rainy day fund in there, we have the excess rainy day fund in there.
It's more, with all due respect, don't throw those two items together. This is just cash. The reserves are the difference between your assets and liabilities, sort of like your retained earnings
Yeah,
at Timex. So that's not all cash. You know what I mean? It's a receivables, hopefully turning to cash soon.
So
It's
Jim,
not
when
all-
you do the budget for investment income,
That's,
You're
my,
doing it
my
now.
budget's due to Mark in early, or the mid-January.
okay. So
Uh,
you-
Revenues aren't till February.
Revenues aren't till
The
February.
only
correct.
comment I was going to say, because the Fed met for pretty much the last time,
Yeah.
a month or two, and he mentioned that there might be 3 cuts, so just keep that in mind.
Correct, yeah. We're gonna,
I'm sure
We
you know
we-
that.
We're very conservative with the revenues.
We-
We'll put the revenues
we-
together right
we-
before February, when Smith.
And go back to doing them conservative like we used to do.
yeah.
And
Yeah, right.
Well, like I said, I'm pretty
Somewhat.
comfortable with 3 points.
Yeah.
We did 3 points this time, we're probably somewhere around 3 points next time.
And frankly, we've been very aggressive with our cash management, to be honest with you. We've been, the new treasurer on board, she got here a few months before I got here. A lot of experience, in touch with the banks, negotiating stuff. Hey, we're going to move X amount out of you if can you come up a little? Yeah, so she's, Anna, she's been fantastic. We communicate at least once a week on these matters. So we do take a very aggressive, maybe a little bit more of an aggressive approach than we had in the past. I don't like paying bills Friday that came in on Wednesday, so we might hold those a little while.
Okay.
Unless there's a cash discount, then we'll pay them.
All right,
Quick-
Fire Commission liaison activities. Do we have any?
I've talked to
We'll
the
go.
fire chief, but it's off. A lot of things going on.
I was supposed to set up from our last session, meetings for all of us with fire. And maybe I'll go ahead and do that, what we did last time, so we don't end up having a de facto Board of Finance meeting. We agree with the board for a 2-hour slot, and 3 of us go from, let's say, 6 to 7, and another 3 of us go from 7 to 8, so that we're in there, but we don't constitute a quorum of the Board of Finance, which would lead us to have a de facto finance meeting in the middle of a fact-finding meeting. So to separate it, that's how we've done it. So we just go in and meet with the chief. So we'll set up a time where the Board of Finance can meet with the chief across 2 sessions. How's that?
That'll be good.
I think we, under FOIA, we do have to be careful. Wherever 4 of us meet, there's always that potential of a de facto meeting, even if we just decide we want to go for pizza. If 4 of us happen to be there, there is that potential, so we have to monitor that among ourselves. Always got to be mindful of that. Okay. All right, any other subcommittees? Okay, now we'll go to public communications. Anybody from the public like to communicate?
Chairman, I
Yeah.
see there's probably a slow turnout tonight because there's
It's a
the
high turnout.
Plantsville summer, winter, and
That's what it is. I
No,
knew it.
wait,
so
wait,
we're all over there.
We remodeled the place,
Wait,
and
this is a record, 2 people.
we should be thankful, right?
No, the first meeting you didn't go.
Oh, I was
Tony,
there.
you
Yeah,
did. You're
yeah.
right.
That's the opening
That-
meeting. Everybody,
yeah,
that's
that-
still celebratory. Everybody
That-
comes to
Swearing
this as
in,
well.
swearing in, you have all the people, the citizens are here to see it happen.
The photo ops.
So when I first started, we had 2 people who came all the time, right? They were
Let me guess.
kind of guardians of the gate, Sandra
Sandra
Feld
Feld
and Art
and Art
Sear.
Sear.
And they, in fact, Art Sear was even given his own budget book because he was so involved. He was
He
like a
actually-
de facto member of every
He actually had a
committee.
meeting, I meet with all my department heads for the budget. He also had a session where I met with him too, so.
It's good, though. It's
God bless
He
positive.
liked the Board of Finance, we'll give him that.
He did, but he
But
was
he-
never, he would say what he had on his mind.
I'll give you one thing, he knew the budget as well as I did, and I wrote the darn thing.
No, he knew the town.
He was a good, good guy.
Yep.
And a friend, but he never got too close that it stopped him from speaking up when he felt he had to. In fact, his picture just popped up on my Facebook today. It said past history or something. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I sent it to his daughter-in-law. Yeah, Art. Okay, so no public comments. I go into board communications. I have some, but I'll let everybody else go first. To remember? Anybody?
At our agenda, our
This,
If there ever is, we could always call a different meeting, a special meeting, whatever, you know.
yeah, but
It's a-
all right, I got a couple of items I just wanted to put
I know what
for
I
us.
signed up for.
Revaluation, just asking, what are we doing?
On Monday night, we hired the company to do revaluation. As you know, over the last bunch of years, we put so much money aside. There's $405,000 in the account right now. We'll be asking for an additional $180,000 in this year's budget to cover the 500 and whatever thousand, 567,000, I believe the contract was for. They start work this spring, and as you know, it's for the Grand List 2025.
October 1st, 2025, 10/1.
10/1/2025.
10/1/25.
So obviously, it's going to be the value of the properties on that particular date. So it's going to be, it won't be this budget cycle.
26, 27
So we're
fiscal
like 2
year.
years away.
Exactly. That being said, we're going to be doing something we haven't done in 20 years, which is a site in-place revaluation, which means asking inside the house and actually check it. Suggestion, as I said to the council on Monday night, having gone through these many, many times, it's always better to allow them to come in rather than let them think that you have all the great stuff that you don't have inside your house. So don't have an issue with it, please. And like I said, we're still a year away from it, but that being said, it's a great idea to let them in the house because it's good to get the valuation that way. Not in the house, then they're going to value it based upon what they think might be in the house. Probably not good for you.
We'll make sure we thoroughly explain that again. I did some videos a while ago, and maybe I'm due for a new one. But just trying to explain that everybody, when they hear the word revaluation, and I saw it a while ago with another community near us, because I had some friends I worked with who were in that community, they would get their revaluation, and they would multiply it by the current mill rate, and then they would be very, very nervous. If the valuation went up and the current mill rate is fixed, and they multiplied the two, they would feel like their taxes were going to go up significantly. And I think what people have to know is to be calm, because if all things given equal, if every property in town doubled in value, the mill rate would be cut in half. The idea of revaluation is not to garner any more money from the taxpayer. The idea with revaluation is only to determine who pays how much of the amount we need for taxes. So sometimes the more expensive homes, the bigger homes, either go up in value if demand is up, or they may drop in value if demand is down. And converse to that, demand for smaller homes will go up or down. Typically, there's a lot of movement. And once that movement occurs, the grand list itself, if the grand list itself goes up or down, the mill rate gets adjusted. If just big houses go down and little houses go up and net, the grand list remains the same, then the mill rate remains the same. And yes, some people will pay more and some people will pay less.
Correct.
But I'll do a better job of explaining it when we get closer to it. But the word to everybody right now who's watching or who may be reading in the minutes is don't panic and don't even make judgment on the assessment that comes out for October of 2025 until we had a chance to look at the mill rate, because without the two, right?
my understanding is it's also not between houses and houses, but more between
Everything.
Commercial and industrial and residential. There's normally a shift,
Yeah.
a small shift from industry and commercial to residential. How it normally works.
It's also a significant factor as well, absolutely.
But as the chairman said, this happens every time we do this. We're talking about a little earlier than we normally would, but I can't stress any more than the chairman did. Don't panic about this part of it. We're going to have educational sessions. Teresa will be out there explaining. Here's Chairman Larry and Chairman Chaplinsky will have sessions.
And there's always a Board of Assessment Appeals, should anybody feel, looking at their neighbors, saying, hey, the house next to me, these three houses are identical, and mine is, got revalued improperly, they could always go before that board with evidence, and people will sort that out. Okay, the next thing I have is, like, public safety. The chair of the town council has approached police and fire, asking if there are special needs outside of the budget, in addition to the budget, that would enhance our public safety in town. And right now, as I understand it, unless something happened that I'm not aware of, Fire Commission and Police Commission are putting together a needs assessment. And nothing has come forward yet?
No, my understanding is that the police commission's meeting, and I expect to get some documents.
So what'll happen more than likely is the Police and Fire Commission will approach town council and say, hey, we have some need, here's our need. They'll likely go to executive session for police because some of the items anticipated to be on that list relate to safety, and they don't want to discuss them in public. They'll discuss the amount of money, they'll discuss everything they can in public, but when it comes to specific items, when you discuss safety items in public, you're certainly discussing the safety item, but you're also discussing what you're not doing. And both of those together pose a risk. So those will be done in executive session, and then the town council will pass this whole need to us as a Board of Finance and say, hey, here's what police and fire are asking for. Please meet with them. So they'll come to us. We'll also go into executive session, chat with them, and then we'll come out and decide a recommendation back to town council. Do we fund everything they're asking for? Do we fund some of it? How do we fund it? Do we fund it? Whatever our recommendation ends up being, that becomes a motion we'll take in our minutes. That becomes a recommendation to town council. And then if it all works out, certain things will get approved here, go back to town council, and the things will be enacted, whatever these items are. So just look forward to those items, and I don't know what they are now. I only was told about one example, just in a conversation. But I'm not aware of what they're going to come forward with. So just let's get ourselves prepared, and we'll sort it here in a public meeting. That's that. That'll come up in January. The next one, Mr. Lebenik asked me if we can put on our agenda for next meeting, Jim. He wants to do an assessment of all of our insurance. His career, his livelihood, his job is in insurance, as is Mr. Bedoin's. But Mr. Lebenik would like to look at all of our insurance. He has a heightened awareness of cyber insurance, but also all the other ones across the board, just to see where we are from a risk perspective. And the risk being a financial risk, that's why it's coming here. Not that we're the risk management department of the town, but it's because when something goes wrong, it generally culminates in a financial expenditure, financial burden. So he asked if we can put that on for discussion at the January meeting. So I just asked town manager, finance director, just kind of get prepared for a discussion, and the rest of us.
We'll prepare a summary sheet which has the type of insurance, what our deductible is, and what the annual cost is.
I'd like to just, and ask Board of Ed to jump in on that, because he wants to do town-wide.
Most of our insurance is with the Board of Ed, but they may have separate insurance.
Yeah, if they have some separate policies for things. And I'm not sure how Joe Lebenik wants to handle it, but more than likely, he'll want to assemble a small team of people to just look through it, ask questions, and make sure we're in good shape. And those people might include ourselves, some elected officials, but it may also include some other experts that are available to us. So I don't know. I'll let him carry that one and discuss that. I just wanted to get it on our next meeting's agenda.
Could you let me know if, when you talk to Joe, Joe can call me directly, does he from a rep here?
For,
If you,
I don't,
we're not going to be able to answer the specific
not
insurance
for
question.
next meeting. Next
Okay.
meeting is just to tee it up.
Got it, okay.
After that, he'll talk about how the path he wants to go
Understood.
forward. And I think it benefits all of us.
Mhm.
And he did make a point of saying that cyber in municipalities is very, very expensive because municipalities sometimes are not investing enough in the prevention of cyber attacks. So the insurance, cyber insurance for municipalities is higher than for businesses and other places. And we have seen attacks, close by in school districts, and he's, one focus is cyber, but the rest is all the other aspects of insurance that we have, other than health insurance, because we've got that
I was
covered.
going to ask you that, so.
Yeah, no health, it's
No
everything
health.
but.
No health, no life. We're going to
Yeah, no health, no life, it's everything else. And I don't ask me to name them. That was that. I also have some questions on that company that wants to put the batteries in the schools. I don't want to bring it up here, but concerned about the true financial aspects of it. I don't understand enough about it, so I'll be looking into it, but also asking other members to take a look at that as well. Now, I don't have the information on it, so I can't really tee it up. All I have is what I witnessed at the town council meeting, watching it on video. But there's a company that wants to come in, go to two of our schools, set up a bank of batteries, occupy, 800 square feet at two different school sites, pay us for hosting these batteries, and I just wonder if there's more to look at there. And I saw that town council tabled it, but I think we ought to just assess it to some degree for a risk to or be aware of it. So I don't know how we'll accomplish that. If town council is going to take up the matter themselves.
They send it back to the BOE for review.
Yeah,
We have one, though, as you know, you may not know. We have one of these ready to go.
I saw it in the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, so the,
Why do they have to exist on our property? Why, if this is such a great idea, why doesn't the company go and buy a piece of land and set it up? Why do these things have to exist on town property?
don't know, I think the state grants the credits, and I'm not sure whether it has to be on municipal or state property, I do not know that. Obviously, our energy consultant looks
Yeah.
for a bunch of things. Obviously, we have a hydrogen fuel cell, we have all those solar things,
Yeah, yeah.
because our energy consultant finds things for us to do. And this was one that was brought last year. It was approved by the council. But, as was said at the council level, water pollution control and a school are two different things.
Yes, they are, and there's different risks, different rewards, but it's still concerning to me. If it's such a great idea, why wouldn't a business go and buy a piece of land somewhere, set up these things, and not involve the municipality at all, not want to put it at a school or a sewer plant, put it off in a location? I guess I just don't understand it, so.
I'd like to see a spreadsheet. Watch that.
I mean, it's not specifically on our agenda, but I just want to put it out there as something we should just
Yeah, obviously.
maybe get a little smarter on.
Deals with money.
You don't have a liaison to the Board of Ed, but obviously, any of you can call a Board of Ed
Yeah.
member. They looked at this a long time. They looked at this
All right.
probably for
If we
5 or
could do
6
that
months,
independently,
even
just to
something
get a little bit
And
financially
I'm sure,
smarter on
and
the
I'm sure the
issue.
superintendent would be happy to talk to you all.
Yep. So we did reval, we mentioned the batteries, we mentioned public safety, insurance analysis, and the last item is an item of concern. I believe tonight on our agenda, let me just prove it before I say it. The appropriation back to the Board of Ed for their rental fees. It brings up just a question I wanted to put out here, because we're still in this area called board communications, not necessarily taking up an issue. But I fully understand when we get rental fees, if people from Southington are benefiting from a program and the schools allow that program to rent their facilities, whether it's an auditorium, a gymnasium, a field, I get it. And I also know that we have, sports teams that benefit the citizens of Southington, and we let them use some of our fields, whether it's the West Memorial, the Recreation Park. But I just want this board to start thinking about, there are cases where we're renting our facilities where there's no benefit to the residents or citizens of Southington other than rental income. And it's not for our citizens, for our kids, for our people. And what we do is we're renting it out, outsiders come in, use our facility, pay a rental fee, so we're merely doing it for the rental fee. But when we do that, the downside is wear and tear. And our sports fields are getting worn out, our turf field is getting worn out, the track around it is falling apart, it's coming apart. There's a lot of extra wear and tear. I just wonder, this board, just to consider or start thinking about it, what do we want to be renting out our facilities, or do we want any criteria on them that, we will do it if there's a certain benefit to the people in town. But if we're just going to rent them out so folks from two different towns that have nothing to do with Southington come here to play a sports game or whatever it is that what we want to do? And is it in our best interest?
I think it could be turf field, right? That's where probably the biggest rental. Every 10 years you have to turf field, right? Or you have.
I'm not sure that's this, though. I'm not sure that.
You don't think that has?
No, that's not this.
No,
That
because
just got my mind
that goes
thinking.
into a separate, that doesn't go back to BOE, that goes into a separate fund.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
But that's
from,
where
yeah,
they-
that's where the Board of Ed puts in X number of dollars out of their
Yeah.
budget, plus we charge, I may be wrong, $1 a ticket to the football games that go toward it also. And then when Dave LaPre does his on the field, they pay a fee too. But that goes into a separate fund, which is under our jurisdiction, not the Board of Ed.
Okay.
Maybe we could ask Dave when we meet with him for the budget and we talk about recreation, maybe one of the items he can bring forward is, are these cases where we rent our facilities and what is the criteria before we rent? Do we just rent to anybody, or does it have to have some benefit other than rental income for the town?
Benefit that you get.
I don't know.
Yeah, so.
I just want to, maybe what you're really saying is we just look at it with both eyes open
Yeah.
and not just purely for the rental fee, but if there is residual benefit, because there's certainly wear and tear.
But that, yeah, you certainly bring it up when the town does that, that's Dave LaPre.
Yeah.
But we don't have jurisdiction over what the board does. That would be something you'd bring up during your meeting
Right.
with them.
Might come up in the meeting of the chairs, just to chat about it.
Okay.
Because our fields are, I think as we know, we went out to referendum for, $17 million, is that roughly our number?
Right.
That failed in referendum, that's fine, that was the will of the voters, but we're still left with fields that need work. And you could argue whether they need 17 million, but they don't need nothing. So we're still finding out ways we can keep these fields alive enough to host games on and have students play on them because the referendum failed. So I think we just have to watch not creating additional wear and tear in the middle. But we could just have that conversation and look at all the pros and cons.
It's not just fields, it's auditoriums too that get
Yeah.
rented out and things.
And make sure our fees are appropriate. Because like we have the AAU leagues playing, and at some time they'll only pay $400 to rent the West, yet these leagues are charging players sometimes $2,000 to $3,000 to play, and then the league is only paying $400 to the town to use our field, and does the economics of the whole thing make sense? I can't figure it out. I don't have enough input, don't have enough data to figure it out, but maybe something Dave LaPre could talk to us about. Does it make sense for us? And I understand your point, Wayne, too. Does it make sense in the big picture? Does it bring people into town? Does it introduce our town to other people? Is there residual benefit to our businesses? It's a multifaceted consideration. Got it. Any more board communication items? Okay, we'll get into our administrative business, our consent agenda. I'd like to take them all together if that's okay, so I'll quickly read them and then ask for a motion for all of them. Just a reminder, our consent agenda is money already received and all we're doing is putting it back to the line item where it could be used. There's nothing really technical about this. Okay. Number one, appropriation 5,019, special revenue account police vehicle maintenance. Appropriation $3,330, special revenue police vehicle maintenance. Appropriation $4,967, police vehicle maintenance. Appropriation $5,370, police vehicle maintenance. All of those were police cars damaged in the line of duty.
Correct.
Appropriation $4,065, special revenue library grant programs. Appropriation $578, police training services. Appropriation $1,612, police overtime. Appropriation $1,000, building department vehicle maintenance. Appropriation $2,500, capital projects fund memorial bench donation. Appropriation $5,775, general fund, fire, extra duty that was reimbursable. Appropriation $1,010, veteran program expenses. Veterans program expenses. Appropriation $5,000, special revenue, youth services, STR grant program. And the last one is an appropriation for $1,702, special revenue Barnes plant grant program expenses.
So I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bedoyan, seconded by Mrs. Mazzarella. Any questions?
I do.
You do.
If we could, the $2,500.
Yes.
Yeah, what happens is the program is, they actually buy the bench, and the plaque that goes with it. So it's not technically a donation, they're actually buying the bench. So in the town of Southington, we have a deal where it goes on the trail or goes in some other areas, possibly several spots left, and you give. Our end, it's not necessarily a thank you, but we have it set for them. And then once.
I think it's a good thing. I like.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, item 11, as you read it, and I'm glad you did, thank you. It should be $1,000 even and not 1,010. That's
Okay.
a typographical error.
So
by
corrected.
yours
Item
truly.
number 11,
Yeah.
1,000, special revenue veterans program expenses.
Thank you.
1,000 even. Make an adjustment. Okay, any more comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The consent agenda carries 5-0. Thank you. The next one, we have 5 administrative items. Take them one at a time. First one is a contingency transfer, $49,000, general fund, corporation counsel for legal fees.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second by,
Second.
who seconded?
Ed.
No, Mr. Pocock seconded. Any discussion? I think we got briefed on this, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? It carries 5-0. Number 2 is a transfer, $15,600. It's special revenue for fire training under FEMA.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Pocock. Any discussion?
Now, this is a grant?
This is actually grant funds received, and when the town actually got the funds appropriated by the Board of Finance and then approved by the council, it was approved in 2 separate line items. Now the fire department has to move it just from one line item to the other, to another.
Okay.
Yeah, I know but that's the way it was authorized, so that's the way it was, it's got to be changed. Just as,
Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, carries 5-0. Number 3, a departmental transfer of $20,000 even, general fund fire legal fees.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second by Mrs. Mazzarella. Any discussion?
Sorry. Um,
No, it's okay.
Are we just fooling ourselves here? We're transferring this?
Not going to second
You
guess
don't
my
know.
chief.
You don't know, huh?
The chief is a very good administrator. I wouldn't second guess.
Well, I'm not.
Right.
Transfer.
We don't allow contingencies anyway. We don't allow contingencies unless it's something that they can't be transferred. But the chief does a great job in managing his fire budget, so I
So right now, he thinks he could
make it through.
make it work.
Or is that just where money is? I think. Not sure if we're just fooling ourselves.
Noted. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain?
Nay.
What?
I'm saying nay.
Voted no.
5-1.
4-1.
4-1.
4-1.
4-1, got it. Got it. So it passes 4-1. Number 4, appropriation, $35,750. This one we'll do with a voice vote, a roll call vote.
Yep, ARPA.
Special revenue from the ARPA money for Panthorn Park improvements, $35,750. And we can go down, slide down.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Bedoin, seconded by Mr. Pocock. Any discussion?
Can you brief me on the?
Yeah.
Familiar with that
Sure.
program?
Town of Southington receives approximately $13 million in ARPA funds. Put together a plan for the previous Board of chose to do it on capital projects, such as fire truck, ladder truck, the pool, numerous pump stations for the for water pollution control. Yeah. So the bottom line is that we did that. Panthorn Park, Recreation Park also received funding. This is all part of that. As each project gets done, I bring it here separately because I want to track exactly how the money is spent and get a voice vote on here and at the council level, so that when I get audited on this, and the federal government 20 years from now, we'll have all the tracking.
Can we get a copy for Mr. Stanforth and Mrs. Mazzarella?
We'll send the
So,
the chart.
I could get it for you
Yeah,
now.
send that.
so this was on your original.
We're getting, as ARPA is, you have to have all your projects in place. Ours have been in place for a while. Some towns obviously haven't gotten this far yet. Everything has to be in place, and everything has to be spent by next December.
I personally like that you're using it, that the whole town can. Approval, but
I would have needed it last
Yeah, right.
meeting.
Would have needed it last session.
thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Let's go to a roll call vote on that, please.
Mr. Pocock,
Yes.
Mr. Beaudoin,
Yes.
Ms. Mazzarella,
Yes.
Mr. Stanforth,
Yes.
Chair Larry,
Yes.
5-0, unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Last one. Appropriation $66,147, General Fund, Education Department. And again, this relates to the rentals.
Tuition and rentals, yes.
I'd
Yeah.
like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve,
Second?
second by Mr. Stanforth. Any discussion? It's noted in the request. It's a routine thing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, no abstain. Okay, motion carries 5-0. From no town manager transfers, no other business. Now we will go to executive session for a personnel matter. After that, we will just come out and simply adjourn the meeting. So for anybody, this will end the meeting. If there's any questions, you guys have any questions, we could answer them. And
Included in executive session will be the full board plus the finance director and the town manager.
When's the next steps meeting, Jeff?
me, don't even know when it is. I could.